Fantastic. So good morning, Redbourn. I just love saying that. My name's Symon Vegro, and I welcome you all to another Active in Redbourn weekly call. Active in Redbourn exists to promote the health and well-being of everyone in our wonderful village, and you can learn all about us at our website, which is www.activeinredbourn.co.uk. I'll repeat that a little bit later. Now, if you haven't dialed in before, these calls take place every Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock for about half an hour, and are free to dial in thanks to the generosity of some of our residents, including Jan Brown, and also Adam and Lulu Shapton. So thank you very much for your generosity. It really does help. Now, we're still looking for additional sponsors to keep these calls going, because although they're free to people dial in, of course, they do cost us money, and we want more people to dial in. So the more people to dial in, of course, the more it costs. So if anybody would like to sponsor a call or make a contribution or something like that, that would be gratefully received, and please let us know. If you do like the calls, please spread the word and give us feedback and suggestions of future speakers if you have any requests. We're always looking for ideas, so if you think, oh, I'd love to hear from such and such a person or something, please let us know and we'll try and organise it. Apparently, if we can get the technology working, the call is now going to be available live on the Redbourners Facebook page, which is very high-tech. I've got no idea how they do that, but good on them. And afterwards, it can be found as a recording on there and also on the Active in Redbourn website. As last week and previous weeks, we put everybody on mute, all the other than the speakers, obviously, so you can make as much noise as you want to. But we will open up the call for a brief Q&A at the end. Now, in previous weeks, we've had a fascinating mix of guests, and we're continuing that this week as well, which with a remarkable collection of people. We're going to start with David Beaman, who is I'm calling him a distinguished local musician, but he may comment on that later. But many of you will have actually heard him play, perhaps without knowing it was him. We'll talk about that in a moment. Then we have Will, our vicar, talking, as he does every week now, with his thought for the week. And we're going to finish with Chris Kenny, who's the clerk of Redbourn Parish Council. So that's the call today, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So without further ado, it's over to you, David. Good morning to you, and how are you today?
Hello, I'm very good, thank you. Good to be with you.
Good stuff. Now, you are something of a musician. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do and so on, and what you can play and so on?
Okay, well, I'm sure I do know a lot of the listeners today, but for those who don't know me, I play the violin and the piano, and my main job is playing the violin in the BBC Concert Orchestra.
Wow. And what sort of things have you been doing in the lockdown?
Well, it's been very interesting, actually, because obviously it was all a great shock to start with, and I suppose we just had to stop playing together, and of course no one quite knew where that was going to lead to, but quite quickly things came into place so that we could provide content to be used in broadcasts and online, which we would do from home. Sorry, that's the other phone going. All these worries of technology, you see. You've got music lined up to play on other devices, and then they ring. You know, it's been a big learning curve with recording music, for example. So I took delivery of a professional microphone, and fortunately my son, who you'll hear from a bit later, is a wizard with music technology and has all the software we need on the computer. So I've been able to record my violin from home and send it into work, where some poor editor has to take, say, 50 musicians and turn them all into one orchestra. So I'm sure that's a pretty unpleasant job.
Yeah.
But it just does show that these things can be done. So we've produced some pieces that have been going out regularly on Radio 2, on Sarah Cox's show has had some of them. Ken Bruce has used some. We did a recording with a couple of musicians that are both based in New York, I think, Jason Mraz and Nell Bryden. Those were on Radio 2 a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And they were recording from their houses, and we were all recording from all around the UK, and it was all put together, and actually there's video. for many of these, we've actually been filming ourselves as well with our iPhones, and then they put all that together as well. So you can see these things on the internet. And you may also have seen, I think it's on BBC4, the BBC Lockdown Orchestra, which they produced by taking musicians from all the BBC orchestras, and we all played a backing track, which was then opened up to the general public. Anyone who wanted to play could also do the same, record on their phones and send it in, and that was all edited into a short program that's out there you can all see. So yes, it's been a different sort of work, but it's been very busy. Putting all that together with homeschooling, you can imagine there's not been much time to sit and think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible you can do all that really from your house, really, isn't it? Thinking of what's possible. So very impressive.
I have to say that if all this had happened a few years ago, before the advent of the smartphone, it would have been a completely different circumstance. The fact that we can put so much together just using a phone is incredible.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it true that there's more technology in a phone than what the moon landings had, or some statistic like that, which I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a nice thing to say anyway.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned there, David, that your son is a bit of a technical whiz. He's also a talented singer, I believe, and part of quite a musical family that you have. Can you just tell us a little bit about your wonderful musical family?
Yeah, well, we are all musicians, I guess. I'm married to Julie, who many will know, who's a clarinetist, and our oldest son, Bertie, is a fantastic musician too. He's at the Purcell School, and he's studying trombone and voice, and he's put together a couple of songs that we're going to have a sing-along to in a little while. What we thought would be nice for everyone who can't get out would be to sing along with us. So we've got 3 little songs. There's Elvis, I Can't Help Falling in Love. We've got Oh What a Beautiful Morning from Oklahoma. Bertie's going to sing those, and then the whole family's going to just finish with a short song together, just to hopefully cheer everyone up.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure it will. Well, we'll start that in a minute or two. I've just got a couple of more things to ask you, if I may, first, David. I said in the intro that a lot of people will have heard you play before, but not necessarily knowing it was you. Do you want to reveal where that was and when that is?
Well, in Redbourn, that would probably be at Beer and Carol.
That's right, yes.
Must be one of the biggest events that so many people get in the same place at the same time, at least up until now. We'll see about this coming Christmas. It may have to be on the phone, who knows. But yes, that's been quite an event, going right back to Redbourn 900, when it started out as beer and hymns, of course, because that was in the middle of the summer, and went down so well that ended up becoming an annual Christmas event.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant event. And I've often wondered who played the keyboard, and now I know. It's really, really good to
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. So things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their heads as they see me ride by, but a little brown maverick is winking her eye. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage, I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle made for two.
Beautiful. What a talented family. David, that was really, really great. I love that last little bit as well. You all sound so cheerful and happy.
Well, it was a pleasure. It was good fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was really lovely. I hope you're going to stay on the call, and that was really enjoyable, David. Thank you very much. Now, follow that really, Will. It's time for Will to do his thought for the week, which we all look forward to, and I'm sure everyone's got a smile on their face now. I hope you've all been singing. I don't know whether you're going to make us sing, Will, but I'm sure you'll inspire us. So it's over to you.
Thanks very much. I'll say it rather than sing it, if that's all right with everyone.
If you must.
One of the challenges of the lockdown is the lack of proper social interaction. It's the thing I find hardest, and whilst I've lots of contact with different people, it's just not the same at the moment. I don't want to relate to someone in 2 dimensions as a Zoom face, or just hear a voice on the phone. I want to be able to see them in the flesh, in person, and see all of them, their body language and all they're communicating, not just their voices. The technology is good, don't get me wrong, but it just isn't the same. We are made as social creatures. That is an inherent part of human nature. Very few people in the course of human history have had a genuine calling to be a hermit, to spend out their days in social isolation and solitude. When someone does feel called to that life, it is a remarkable thing. But most of us need the social contact, and that shapes us and makes us, in part, who we are. Have you ever had one of those moments in life when you met someone and just connected? It was a chance encounter that could so easily not have happened, sequence of events and circumstances meant that at that very moment in time, there you were in front of each other, and it was somehow meant to be. There have been some interesting takes on that in literature and film, perhaps the most famous being the film Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow. The sliding doors closed on a train carriage. In one version, she gets on the train just in time, and life takes her in one direction. In another, the doors close and she's left on the platform, and the course of her life and relationships goes in a very different direction. I had a chance encounter recently. We have a daughter who's just turned 17 recently, so we've been looking for a car. After a protracted and at times painful search, we found the perfect car for her. A little white Fiat 500 in really good condition and at a very fair price. The bad news, it was in Bexley in southeast London. So we duly bundled into our car and drove round the M25 to have a look. It was worth the hour's drive, and it was a really good little car. So we paid a deposit and arranged to go back last Saturday to pay the balance and to pick it up. But it was funny because in those two meetings with that family, despite face masks and careful social distancing, we could feel a connection. It's hard to explain, but there was something about them. Claire said on the Saturday evening, "That's not the last we'll hear from them." What did she mean? There's going to be a problem with the car and we'll be trying to get our money back? No, not that. Or there'll be an issue about the bank transfer we'd made and they'll be chasing us to get their money? No, not that either. We both felt it, but we weren't sure. We'd chatted and been polite and we'd sorted out the paperwork together, but no real clue. And then Claire got a text on Monday evening. It went as follows. "Hi, it's Bex's mum here. Hope you had a safe journey back to St Albans on Saturday and are enjoying the car. It brought us lots of enjoyment and I'm sure it will for you too. I'm going to be a bit cheeky in texting you. I wanted to ask a favour. Well, more a favour from your husband, given his occupation. Could I please ask that you send some prayers out for Ray, my husband? The care he is receiving is palliative care. We have so many people praying for him, and I'm convinced it helps. I've been told the more people praying, the better the outcome. I hope you don't mind me asking. Thank you." We've replied to say we would, of course, be praying for him, and how sorry we were to hear his news. And then we got another text last night to say that they'd heard that it wasn't going to be just palliative care after all, that he can start a course of 6 weeks of radiotherapy starting tomorrow. They weren't expecting that, and the phrase they used to us was, "We've been thrown a lifeline." I can't claim the credit for the change of plan for him. We will continue to pray for Ray and all the family. I've no idea what will happen, but I'm going to be holding them before God, and let's see what happens. But somehow we were meant to have met them. Life can mean that the people we know, the friends we make, the jobs we have, are all a matter of circumstance sometimes. A different twist, a different turn, and it would have been very different. And that's why Black Lives Matter, because all lives matter. Anything that happens to any person could be a thing that happens to us, or to a person that we could have met, or might still meet. And that's what it means to be human and connected. And that's why we have to strive for a time when all life is honoured and all people are afforded the same dignity and opportunities. As Martin Luther King famously said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Thank you.
Thank you, Will. I mean, listening to that, there's so many things in there, and as always, I feel quite humbled and quite incapable, really, of saying anything other than thank you. I think the Black Lives Matter, obviously given the recent events that we've seen, has really made us all think, obviously, very deeply about the things you were talking about. And it's interesting, the sliding doors moment as well, you know, how very slight changes in our lives can have very fundamental and dramatic differences. I'm thinking to all the quantum physicists out there about the multiverse concept of quantum physics, which we may well crop up on another call, who knows. Anyway, thank you, Will, as ever. Really, really
My
good.
pleasure, Simon.
thinking of quantum physics, I guess it's a neat segue into the parish council. So Chris, thank you. Thank you. This is a very serious call, as you know, Chris.
Clearly.
Thank you for your patience. It's really nice of you to dial in today. So, you're the clerk to the lovely Redbourn Parish Council.
I am indeed.
Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can I begin by asking you very quickly what the Parish Council does in a sort of and particularly what you do, if that's okay, and to sort of make it work?
Yeah, so I guess the role of the clerk is to, it carries out the decisions really that the councillors make. So we have 12 councillors that are elected. But more importantly, the role of the clerk is to ensure that the council is acting in a lawful manner. Obviously the parish council has many powers and duties, but the clerk needs to make sure that the council works within those parameters. I think also my role is about being an ambassador for the parish council as well, and to try and we want to make the council more proactive and for people to understand what we do as well. So as a parish council, obviously the council owns certain assets. So we have the common, which is our biggest asset, and we want to make it accessible to all and to maintain it in a way that everyone can use it, but equally to try and keep the biodiversity, with the conservation areas on that common. So we do certain things in certain ways. We have a parish store. We own the building the museum is housed in. We obviously have all the play areas, the Millennium site, which is just off the Nicky line. Obviously we hire out the parish centre as well, which is a good community focal point. We have lots of classes that go on. We have training courses, companies use it. So it's quite busy and we do quite a lot.
Excellent. I was going to say, I think it's a bit naughty of me if I asked you who really makes the decisions, is it you or the councillors, but we'll come back to that maybe if we've got time at the end. How have you adjusted, so given the fact that obviously the parish centre's closed and we're all in lockdown and everything, how have you adjusted and how have the sort of councillors and the processes adjusted during lockdown? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've been quite lucky in the sense that we were set up that we could, as in the officers, so there's 4 of us that work here, I'm full-time, and then we have Zoe and Becky that work 10 hours, and Vicky, who's deputy clerk, she works 20 hours. But we're all sort of set up that we could work remotely from home, so we could access all our documents and stuff. But Vicky and I have been rotating and coming into the office just because there's certain things you can't do at home, and also to pick up messages and posts and stuff. So in terms of what the officers have been doing, we've been able to make it work. For council meetings, because obviously council meetings, they should all be public meetings. That's why you always have to have a central point for your meetings, and you can't have them in locked doors if you like. So that's been a challenge, but the government passed regulations so that we can do virtual meetings and so that they're still lawful. So we've jumped into Zoom. Obviously other products are available, and we've gone down that whole route of doing Zoom meetings, which has been interesting and has worked, I think.
And how have the councillors adjusted to things like Zoom? Is it going well for them, or?
Yeah, I think actually everyone's embraced it. Then obviously we wanted to try and keep the council running as much as possible, and so I think that's enabled us to do that. And we've still had our same meetings that we would normally have scheduled. I think in some ways we've had, if I say better attendance, more people have attended because obviously you don't, there's nothing else going on either as well, so people don't have any other commitments. So we've been able to do that, and I think actually people have embraced it. Actually, yeah, we've done really well. And actually, we were one of the first parish councils in the district to do a Zoom meeting, so we were a bit ahead of the game really. Even beat Harpenden. Harpenden hadn't had one, and little old Redbourn has had one, so it was quite good.
Obviously we're better than Harpenden. Can we claim to be the first in the country for that? Is that something we can claim even if it's not true?
I mean, we probably could claim it, but whether it's correct or not to claim it is a different matter.
Okay.
In our history we can say that, can't we?
Yes, absolutely. Good old Redbourn Parish Council.
Yeah.
So thinking about all the things that I suppose the processes and things we've had to change and the use of Zoom and everything, have you learnt anything, or have we learnt anything as a council that will benefit us once lockdown is over, do you think?
I think obviously the regulations that are in place at the moment, we can only do this until May next year, so we would have to go back to normal, face-to-face meetings. And as much as Zoom meetings have been very good and we've got business done, I don't think it replaces the face-to-face contact. So, I mean, public can still join in with our meetings. They can come on via Zoom link, but it's not the same as having, face-to-face, physical, so what, excuse me, what people are, body language and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't replace any of that. So I think it's probably made us realise that it's still important to have those meetings, and there's a reason why they're like that.
Yeah. What have you enjoyed the most, if anything, during the lockdown in terms of your role on the council? Is there anything that's been particularly fun or enjoyable?
I think what's been good, so we never had a WhatsApp group before. I mean, parish councils are quite, well, I would say not quite.
We're hanging on your next word.
Sorry, I want to be diplomatic. We're not quite 21st century. It's a bit clunky sometimes. So we were taught about having a WhatsApp group, but never had one. So anyway, we've now embraced all that, and we have this WhatsApp group, and we have various different ones for various different committees. But the main one, and I think you all know this because obviously you've been part of it, but there's been a lot of banter, a lot of friendly banter as well, between councillors, and it's actually been quite a bonding experience as well for people, because although we meet regularly, you're meeting in a formal environment, you don't perhaps have the same chance to chat away, so actually it's been a good experience to get to know all the councillors in a different way, so that's been really good. Although some of the debate and the chat is a bit, what on earth is all this about, but in a fun way, good.
I can't possibly imagine what those might be, Chris.
I wouldn't like to say too much.
Okay, well, we're getting towards the end. I mean, just a couple of quick ones to finish on. Have there been any funny or memorable moments that you'd like to share, or can't you share them publicly?
No, nothing terrible. I mean, with the Zoom meetings, it has been quite funny to start off with. Obviously, everyone getting used to the technology and stuff, and when to mute and when not to mute. And I think we had a couple of people saying, sorry, would you like a cup of tea? And everyone's going, yes, please, or seeing people's, nostrils as they're looking at their screen to try and find where the mute button is and stuff like that. So, nothing, that sort of thing's been quite amusing. So, yeah.
I think Redbourn Parish Council probably has the best nostrils.
The cleanest.
As well as being the first to do Zoom and a number of other things that we'll claim in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, if I may. Have you got any message as clerk to the council for the residents of Redbourn before we finish today? Or maybe you have, maybe you haven't?
Well, I mean, I think I've always known and been aware that obviously there's lots of organisations in Redbourn, and we're quite a good village for volunteering if you compare to some other villages. But it's been really refreshing, I think, to see how all the groups have interacted and responded, to the lockdowns. Obviously, there's been lots of talk about, the coronavirus volunteer group and the Redbourn and the care group and how that's all interacted. But I think also as a council, there's a real willingness to help where we can and to facilitate ideas, or pass on information. If there's any financial, if we can, we'll help. So for people, if they need to talk to us, if they've got any ideas where we can help them, then let us know, be in contact with us. We're always at the end of the phone, and we'll help where we can and where it's possible.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So I'm going to open it up for Q&A in a minute, just in case there are any. But I'm going to ask the question that I threatened to ask earlier, if I may, to start with. Who really makes the decisions on the council? Is it you or is it the councillors?
I like to think it's a democratic society.